like we did over on Old Brandon. Cause that guy was doing, I think it was 35 zone, and I think he got him for almost 50. So, a solid ticket, an expensive one. And a butt chewing from the boss, so that was even better, so.
Yeah.
And I think that was his son or nephew, or it was a relative or something that we got a ticket to. So everything worked perfect on that for us.
Good deal.
So that's kind of what we do, is we just look at it as that. And I think that as we were talking about this week, as you get these houses here, the ones over here in Bodar, eventually the ones, the 40 or so that are coming in, I think they were talking at the last meeting, just tentatively, that someone's bought it and their plan is that they haven't submitted anything. It's speculation on what they're talking about. Okay. You're adding it's over 100 homes.
Yes, sir.
Just right here, and that doesn't count the big development across the highway, which is probably another 90 homes. So you're talking, if you do a multiplier of 4, family of 4 in each home, let's just say, roughly, that's a lot of population density added to your city. So when you're talking, I was talking to Kim today, and I said, you're talking 90, what is that, 100 homes, that's 34, 40, 27, yeah, you're over 100 homes, that's over 400 folks, if you're talking about a multiplier 4. Then you still have the 90 across the highway, there's another 300 and something people. I said, so you're talking about, if they annex in like they're talking about, so now you're talking, doubling your city size.
Where's the 90 across the highway? Where's that gonna be?
Where the road ranger is,
Uh-huh.
the other side of 35.
Okay. Oh,
So
that's
near
right.
road-
Yeah, I remember reading something about that. I sure do.
That's, I'm trying to remember what they call it, what the name of it is.
Warner Reserve.
Yeah, Farmer Reserve. And you can go into smallranches.com or net or something like that. And you can see the layout, the plat and everything. And I think they got a meeting coming up next week, maybe. I know it's holiday week, but I think next week they're gonna have a meeting with him, maybe. So another meeting. He closes, I think, in December on it. So they're getting to he wants to be moving forward like February. He wants to.
Is that the one who made the presentation a couple meetings ago?
Yeah, the big presentation.
Yeah.
And but I told Kim, I said, that's a lot of earth moving equipment. You're gonna know, everybody's gonna know it when it gets here, because you're gonna need to put in that type of road structure. It'll be obvious there's something going on, and so we'll see how that plays out. But that's a lot of folks, a lot of rooftops to add, which I think will increase the issue with, you talking about traffic. I think that's only gonna get worse for us. And we talked about the light down here, putting an actual light. That's out of my wheelhouse, since it's a US highway. DOT would have to make I've talked to Carlos Phoenix this week, and he said they did a study on it in 2021, and that at one time they did have a light here, I think, or a flashing light, maybe, years ago.
I heard one of the residents say that when they were here during the meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, they took it down. He goes, so they did a study in 2021 when they were looking at it again, and they didn't do it. And I think it has to do whatever the federal government looks at, however many, they'll do basically it's a car count. They're gonna check how many cars come through in a day. They'll check out what type of vehicles come through, and there's a lot of truck traffic. So that might have changed, because that was probably prior to the road ranger really getting rolling. So that may have an effect now to go forward and to do that, if that's what we choose to do. And I've mentioned it to the mayor and stuff, and we'll just see what happens and what they want to do. But those are almost out of our wheelhouse if it's on that road out there, because that's a US highway. So can't do a whole lot with it. So we're kind of stuck.
Well, as the population increases, that's probably gonna have to happen.
It's gonna have to happen. I think it's like I talked to Carlos yesterday. So once you add, 100 plus homes, 200 homes. If you do that across the highways, well, and you count that, I said, that's a lot of traffic. You've raised up, if you do a multiplier, family four in each home, that's doubling your city. You're going from 900 to 1,000 to around 1,800. You'll be almost as big as it is.
Yeah.
Which is gonna also bring business. So you're gonna end up with businesses that you may or may not like.
Yep.
So, and if they got the money to buy the land and put it up, you're probably gonna get approved because that's just the way business is.
Growing pains.
Yeah, so I think that's what you're looking at here as we go forward on that, but a lot of homes. So you're gonna start seeing a lot more. I mean, it's, every day I'm seeing Atlas or these utility guys in here every day, and I think we're only gonna see more of that as we go forward. And more speeding. But I think, you know, we're doing this with a force of 3 officers and me, and we're sitting at 321 tickets a month. Last month, that's a lot. You know, that's a lot of tickets. So right now we're almost at 200. So I mean, that's compared to when I started. Like I said, we were at 54. So I mean, there's a big difference, and trying to get some enforcement in there, and trying to be visible, and earning our paycheck, and trying to be, you know, responsible to the citizens. That's what I've preached to them. So it's worked so far on that end.
When do you expect to pick up another officer?
I actually spoke with my grant writer Friday night, late. She responded Monday morning. And so they approved the grant process with her. So I've got to send her, well, she's got to send me an invoice, and then which will probably happen this week, is what she indicated. So a lot of the COPS grants won't open until usually December to January, and they close them by May. A lot of times if you apply early on, you'll know by March or April if you've been granted, you know, a COPS grant, which means here we'll give you a police officer, we'll pay 75% of his salary and benefits for the first 3 years. After that, you're on your own. Well, that's a huge deal for a city the size of, no, you hadn't got to pay all of it for 3 years. And we get production from that officer, and we're able to build our city a little bit and absorb that as we go forward. And I'm hoping, since the federal government has a standard of 3.8 officers per 1,000, that does not include the chief, by the way, so that would not include me. So I've got 3. I'm hoping that my 0.8 will get me at least 1. And so that would give us basically 24-hour coverage. I'm gonna ask for more than 1. I'm gonna ask for 2. I don't know if they'll give it to me, but I'm gonna point out that the growth that we've got coming, things like that. They may say, well, ask for it next year. Okay, so I may have to do it another year. The other officer that I expect to have is next summer, probably June-ish. Hiring a school officer. Spoke with the superintendent, and she wants to partner with us, and I think we're going to cover, tentatively, we have a gentleman's agreement on a 75% coverage as well. Most of that money, almost all of it, will come from the state. So she'll just route that money to our department. I'll supply her an officer full-time. We'll be in the school every day, all day, every day, handling their school issues and being visible, present, waiting on an emergency, basically, which is what I would prefer. I don't want the school to be reliant on the street officer who may end up sitting on an accident down here, and then you got a school emergency, and I'm stuck sitting on 35 with an overturned 18-wheeler. I can't just drive off and leave that and somebody hit it. Now we're liable for that. I'm stuck, you know, so I don't want, that's why I was trying to preach them, is I want you to have a freed up officer 100% of the time that handles your business for you. If y'all will just help me a little bit on the salary end. So I think that we basically have an agreement next year to get that in the budget and do that. So I'll probably hire them in the summer, get them, make sure if there's any training. I have one guy that's interested right now already. I'm like, dude, it's still a ways away, so, but, you know, I'd have to check their T-Cole hours, make sure that they don't need anything. School officers require certain types of training they have to hit, metrics. So I'd like to get that person in line around June, get whatever T-Cole he or she needs by the 1st of August when school starts, you know, if I can. So we'll see. But yeah, I think a year from now, we should have a school officer and one more officer is what I'm hoping for, based on the numbers. I would really like to get 2 more for the street with the school officer. School officer, I'm pretty sure is a done deal. I think we'll get that done, but the cops grant, we'll see. We're gonna ask for a STEP grant. A STEP grant is a selective traffic enforcement program. It's a, Rodney, you may know what STEP is if you worked it years ago. They've got it, these departments, we had it in Arlington when I worked there. Basically, it's a grant that the state and the feds fund money. Let's say they'll go, okay, Kevin, Milford PD gets $10,000 and go forth and produce. Well, that $10,000 is earmarked for certain things, so it has to be paid to either pay overtime to officers, because the city of Milford doesn't have we don't pay overtime typically, we do comp time. Well, on that, you can't do that, you have to pay overtime, and they have to go and work a certain roadway. So it'd probably have to be 77 or 35. Typically, it's gonna be a highway, since the Fed and the state are paying for it. So you can get it on a city street, but you would have to do a study to justify it to them. I've had to do that when I was in Arlington. We had a city street, and they went in and approved it. I was surprised, it wasn't their road, and they were like, yeah, go ahead. And, but they wanted a certain amount of traffic stops per hour, which is usually 3 per hour. So you'll see tickets increase when you do that. It also allows me to take that $10,000, let's say, just as a number, and I can say, okay, we need a long-range laser radar, a new one. Well, I can take those funds, instead of paying for it out of taxpayer funds, I can take that and go buy that piece of equipment. It's $2,700. I can go buy a nice piece of equipment so our guys can use that, and they can use it as they need it. And they can also use it on patrol, regularly on patrol. So it's a way to offset some infrastructure costs for a department as well. So that's one. The cops grant will be one. There's some equipment stuff that I'm gonna be asking for, both for the vehicles as well as for equipment for them. We're switching over to Axon cameras, thankfully, finally.
How's that coming along? You gonna have them soon?
December the 16th, I just got it about 2 hours ago. They will install them on the 16th. They're sitting over here in the office, just sitting in a box, ready. In fact, I've got a meeting with her in the morning on she's out of Phoenix, so it'll be a virtual meeting. And we're gonna talk, and they'd also have our TASER contract, which comes up January, February. So she's trying to get us committed on a deal before the end of the year, because they have a price increase in January. So she's gonna talk to me about, hey, let's agree to a deal so that you don't pay me until March, but let's agree to it now so we can lock you in at this rate.
Yeah.
So I've got a meeting with her, and we'll talk about the camera. She called me yesterday, wanted to know if the camera's there, and I said, everything's here, ready for your team to come and put them in. It'll take them about 1 day to install them all in the cars and get the guys trained up on how to use the body cam. But it's gonna be, it's gonna have a license plate reader on it, so it's always gonna be reading the license plates. It's gonna have a device where they can talk into their body cam, and it can speak Spanish back out to a person that's Spanish speaking, and when they speak, it can interpret it back to him. Yeah, if I'm somewhere, I'm in Midlothian at my home, and they need to speak to me, and it's important, and it needs to happen now, they can buzz me in on their device. And I can listen to the conversation, and have a conversation with that citizen as well. So it's pretty neat stuff. It was actually covered last week on the nightly news. I was sitting there, happened to be home early for once, and I saw it, and I said, that's exactly what I just bought, that Axon system for my guys. And we negotiated for months on that and went back and forth. So it's been a process, but the system we have now, it was bought, I think, 2017, 2018. It was a thumb drive system, and it's just been terrible for me to adjust to that. So I like having a cloud system where it's there. I don't have to go to a special computer in the building and log into that one and do video uploads and that way I can just be at my computer. The district attorney's constantly asking me for a video on a traffic stop or an arrest on a domestic. I can look it up, send it right to her. Here you go. I don't need to go and log into a computer. Take about an hour to get to these, to fish through it and get it to download, get it on a thumb drive and take it all the way to her.
Yeah.
Email it to you. Here it is. So, so we're looking forward to getting up into the
Yeah.
21st century here with some of this technology that's available to us. So I think that'll be good for the citizens. If somebody that doesn't speak English very well, we can work with them on that.
Yep.
So I think this is gonna be a good thing for our team to have going forward. And we bought 4, because we have 4 cars and that gives us 4 body cams. I usually will not have a body cam on me because I don't want to burn up batteries for a guy that maybe, because I'm hiring a reserve that's coming on board probably this weekend, and I want him to be able to use it. So I don't want to tie up
Sure.
batteries and stuff. And they're going to give us extra ones, but I'm like, I don't want to drain out your stuff when I'm not even out there that often. So I'll have a dash cam, and I may not have a body cam, but they're going to have what they need at all times. So that's what I'm trying to get them focused on and get that done. But we have all the equipment finally delivered. 16th of December, Tuesday, it'll be installed.
I've been seeing a lot of ads for the flock cameras as well.
Yeah, so I had a lot of conversation with Flock, and everything was looking okay. The price was a little out of my comfort zone. What was really out of my comfort zone was the commitment of manpower to manage that. So you have your hot list, you have all your stuff, and so it was gonna be with all the LPRs and the data, that was great. But who's gonna be watching that all the time? And so it was gonna be something I was gonna have to consider. So I was at Chief School down in Huntsville a couple weeks ago, and typical, when you're in networking with your buddies and getting to know people and you find out what they're using, and well, we don't use Flock because of this, and this is what we use, and well, this is what we use, and it was great. Well, we use Vercado, we use this, and he shows me his camera systems. He goes, I can do this, I can do that. Well, that's exactly what I kind of need. He goes, it's an LPR, but it will dump. He goes, you probably don't have enough people to manage a Flock system. It's great, but it's gonna wear you out. And so, we got that stolen out here. Charles did from a Flock hit in Waxahachie. I don't think anybody south of Waxahachie has Flock that I'm aware of, at least until maybe Hillsboro's got it, but not in Ellis County south of Waxahachie. So they sent out, they weren't available, but they saw the hit and they radioed it, and Charles knocked him down out here. We got the car recovered, all that. Great job. Nobody got hurt, and actually they're still working that case. And because there's multiple jurisdictions involved in it, because that truck was stolen out of Alabama. And it was sold again at a place up in Dallas County, I believe, at a restaurant. So they're pulling, it's multiple moving wheels on that one, but it's working pretty well to be able to get a case filed, hopefully on them, probably in Alabama, but we'll see.
Too bad it's cost prohibitive as well as manpower prohibitive. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be a nice system to have.
Yeah, it's, if I go to another system, it'll be very similar. It just won't be quite as manpower intensive. I'll still get the hits. We'll still, one of the things I really wanted was to focus a camera on the Road Ranger 24/7 and record. That's still a possibility with these other companies, so I'm still wanting to do that. Those cameras cost a little more. like a typical flock camera out here might cost me $6,500 a year. That camera over at the Road Ranger, set it and focus it on the Road Ranger, would cost me closer to $10,000. So it's almost double the price.
Yeah.
Because you're getting tons more data out of that. We'll see. I mean, I'm still working on vendors and looking at one. I know that Chuck, when he was here, he was looking at Verkada. We'll see. I haven't gotten a whole lot far down the road, I guess, on them yet, because I've been working on getting the cameras done and talking with that lady and getting that stuff straightened up and ready to go. But that's something I've got earmarked for the next year. I've got some other things I'm looking at for the department. We'll see how it goes. I've got a meeting next Monday morning with Del Carmen, Alex Del Carmen. So he's going to be doing our racial profiling reports. He sent me the synopsis this morning. He did the data on it already. We are not in compliance, and we're going to be transparent about that. But we're going to get there. So there's 4 things that we have to do, and he's going to talk to me about it Monday morning. One of them is 2 of them are simple things. One is I need to add one line to when you hand out your citations, you hand out a little notice. There's one line missing in our notice, so that's easy to do. You have to change the wording on one of our policies. So these are just little things that we're not in compliance with. So it's not like we're violating people's rights. It's just little things that will put us in compliance that I've got to get done. One of the other things had to do with the data audits, which we had not done. And as he told me, almost 50% of the agencies in Texas don't do their data audits. They submit the report, nobody ever does an audit of the actual data. So that's what I hired him to do. So at a pretty low rate for the year. So and to defend us in court. So that's why I chose him. I'm familiar with him over the years too, and so I'm excited to work with him. I feel real good about that one. Yeah, so it's been busy with different things trying to get us in where I want to go with the department. Probably next year I'm wanting to look at a couple of things. There's accreditation opportunities for us, but to get there I've got to do certain things to get us to that point. In fact, Del Carmen and his company is talking to me about what that is all about. There's benefits to the city to do that. It is not easy to do it. It has an expense to it, depending on which accreditation you choose. So, but we'll see. I'll probably choose the TPCA accreditation. You can do one, it's called CALIA. When I was in Arlington, we were CALIA accredited. That is crazy expensive and very hard to do, almost impossible for a department our size to do. But we can do TPCA, which is Texas Police Chiefs Association, best practices, that we are employing the best practices as outlined by the police chiefs across the state. This is what you should be doing in your police department for your community, X, Y, and Z. And there's like 170 something things you have to check off on. Now some of them they're not ours. We don't have a jail, we don't have a dispatch center, we operate off the county, so those we're exempt from. So that's about 40 of them right there I don't have to mess with. So, but we have to have certain policies in place, equipment in place, and your racial profiling has to be updated. Yeah, I mean, things that I'm trying to get done to make us that. And what it does for you as a city, so most cities, especially a city of our size, we're TML, Texas Municipal League, does our insurance, it does our legal, all that stuff. So a lot of times when you are an accredited police department, those rates that you've been paying go down. What they find is an accredited police department meets certain training standards and things like that, your rates go down. So it's a way to save a little bit of money, and they will pay our first year fee of accreditation. So it doesn't cost us much and it actually saves us money long-term. So it's kind of one of those things I'm looking at. I asked Del Carmen, Dr. Del Carmen, I said, what's the smallest agency in the state of Texas that's accredited? He goes, it has 5 officers. I said, cool.
Well, you're getting close.
We're right there. So he goes, you can do it. He goes, and it would be great if you did. I think it would save you some money, and you know, because audits are coming. I've got a T-Cole audit coming sometime after the first of the year. I had lunch with him 2 weeks ago at down in Huntsville, and he asked where I was at, and I told him. He goes, He was teaching a class I was in. He goes, well, probably be paying you a visit sometime after the first of the year. And I said, give me the date. He goes, why don't you just have everything ready to go by the end of January? So he's kind of giving me a hint as it's probably February. So I'm putting these notices on my to-do list of get this done by this date, this date, this date, you know, and so trying to meet those parameters. So, but we'll see where we go and how we get there, and trying to get some of these grants and things and equipment. That'll be big. You know, they want a canine as well at some point. The only issue I have with the canine is, well, there's 2 issues. I don't have a vehicle for it right now that would really be be able to haul a canine in. So it would require another purchase that I really don't want to do right now. I could do some research and find a used Tahoe, and I could probably do it, but I also have to factor in who's going to keep the dog, because it ain't going to be me. So, and they have to commit to that, and they have to be compensated, because that's a 7-day-a-week. So you have to compensate a canine officer for 7 days. They automatically are going to earn comp/overtime. So we would have to look at that policy. So there's a lot more to do on that to get that done than it is just asking for, because getting a dog is easy. There's tons of grants that'll pay for that.
Italy just had to relinquish theirs, didn't they?
Yeah. So the dog part is the easy part. But now, who's paying for all the feed? The city usually does. Who's paying the handler to feed that dog every day, at least twice a day, 7 days a week? The vet bills. I mean, see, as you can see in the training equipment that dog's gonna need, it's a lot of expense. And so I'd have to really, I know the city likes it, and I do too. I love canine, but I would definitely I would not want an apprehension canine. I would just want a drug dog. I don't think we could justify an apprehension type, like a Malinois type dog. I would want something a little more of a lab dog, drug dog, straight drug dog. And we can get some mileage out of it, but I just gotta look at those other ancillary expenses that are really what's gonna cost you. You know, the dog part, my grant writer could get that. Is now how are we gonna put it in a car? How are we gonna feed it? And you know, all those things, and the training. Typical training for a canine, you know, you're gonna have to go. What is it now? About 6 weeks.
That they go to the facility.
Yeah, they go to Louisiana or
6 to 8
Utah.
weeks, yeah.
That's a couple months. They're gonna be on a hotel.
Out of service.
Yeah, out of service.
You're out an officer too.
Yeah. So those are things I have to consider. I look at the value of it and need, and what does it get me? What does it get the citizens? Does it bang for our buck? You know, is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
You know, just like on those cameras, that's bang for our buck. I mean, it can do the Spanish. It'll read all your license plates as you're going down the road on parked cars. It's gonna alert you to stolen vehicle. It gives us bang for our buck over the thumb drive system that we have currently. That's hard and cumbersome, and we're losing data and losing cases because some of that gets lost. And so that's what I'm excited about, having a much better system. So yeah.
Great.
We have a canine dog.
They used to have one.
Yeah.
Truman, I think was his
I think
name.
that was his name, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he got a lot of seizures. I think they told me it was $200,000-300,000 in seizures.
Mhm.
Can't argue with it. It's just that cost and the maintenance and taking care of a dog and transporting that dog and things like that you have. As a chief, I'm having to look at that cost and try to figure out a way out of it, so how that's gonna affect our budget. So, which, again, there's ways that, with the school officer and with maybe getting a cops officer, that reduces a lot of that cost on those officers for at least 3 years on the one. Now the state, on the school officer, and I've told the mayor, I said, the state's paying this much money right now. Next year, they could say, we're not doing it anymore, you're on your own. Are we gonna fire that officer? Probably not. We're just gonna have to absorb that cost. So, those would be budget hits, we'd have to look at that. Could we absorb them if they dropped that, If I'm paying an officer, with pay and benefits, I'm paying them $85,000 a year, and they're gonna pay, 50 or 60 or whatever it's gonna be, could we absorb that if they stop doing it, That's the good thing about a cops thing, is it's a 3-year commitment. The federal government's saying, 3 years, we're gonna pay you this. 4th year, you're on your own. So I'm hoping to get 2 of those. That would be really nice, to get 2, because that gives me a lot of flexibility on having 5 officers for the street. There's a lot, I could send one to a task force for a year. They would pay his salary, and I'd still have coverage at night. I'd have an officer being paid for. I'd have 2 of them being paid for on 75%. Have a school officer 75% paid for. So it would reduce our budget hit, but we would have doubled our department. So those are things I'm trying to look at, is maximizing what we get for our dollar here in Milford, as much as I can.
Well, and look at the number of kids that's probably gonna be coming in.
Right, that's why I do that multiplier 4. I go, it's mom, dad, 2 kids, is what standard 4 multiplier. When you're looking at 27 homes over here on Bodar, 34 over here, the 40 that they're talking about bringing in back over here off Cross Main.
There's still some going in on Water Street, right? Are they finally gonna get that addition going back over there?
Yeah, the forms are in today.
Okay.
I think they did 12 permits.
Okay.
There's 34 homes that are gonna go in there total. So I drove back there today, and they had the guys there doing the form work.
Yep.
So the forms are there, and I saw Atmos and showing the guys here, and I know they're doing the water stuff. It's all ready to go, so.
Looks
So
like,
this is gonna take a little longer over here on Bodark, but they did get approved, so I would imagine sometime after the first of the year, once they get their lines in, the permits will start rolling, and they'll do those 27 along Bodark.
Yep.
And then this one over here, they haven't asked yet, but we did find that that's sold, so that's projected 40 homes, there. But we'll see. The big one is still up in the air. That's a lot, but 90 homes, a lot. If you figure 4 per.
y'all gonna be busy.
Yeah, it would be, that's part of the argument with the grant writer I'm gonna talk to her about, is that include this development as to try to get me that second officer, ask for 2 and see if I can get them both, which allows us to provide a better service and be a little insulated when the growth hits. So we're
Which
able to grow a little bit and hold.
definitely gonna necessitate a resource officer.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's on the list. Me and Amy, talked about that. Superintendent Reyna, we agreed on that. In fact, I talked to her the other day, over there. So, that's a done deal, unless that's why they want to know now the budget for next year for it. That's part of their budget, which is money they get from the state, that they want to budget that for the use of an officer full-time, so that's pretty much, I think, a given at this point, unless something happens between now and then, so. At a minimum, we should have at least a school officer, on the force, but, I really think we'll get at least one more for the street, and hopefully two more. But I won't know until the spring. I'll let you know when we ask for it, kind of see what, the grant writer will a lot of times give me an insight as to, I think we'll get this, but we'll ask for this. So she'll kind of tell me, you know, since she's got the experience with it, kind of what they think I can secure out of it. Equipment stuff is easy, you know, like ballistic shields or whatever, weaponry, whatever, things that, you know, what I call toys, you know, equipment, tools in your toolbox. That's not a big deal, you know, we get it or we don't get it. One good thing for us, the district attorney, she's on the board for COG, and they do a lot of grant, approvals, and she's on that board, so she's told me, she goes, get your stuff in, she says, I'm looking for y'all's stuff. I said, okay, it'll be coming, so. I think one is opened up already. It was for something with, the police vehicle, some shield or, can't remember what it was, maybe with glass or something. I can't remember what it was, but, it was like $100,000. And I don't think it had a matching. So a lot of times your grants have a matching. So like the STEP grant, the highway enforcement, if they can go $10,000, 20% we have to add. So we have to come in with 2,000 if it's 10. If it's 5, it's 1,000. So, you know, it's a little bit of a cost, but still most of it is going to be paid for by the state or the feds, so which is what you want, so. But we're working on it.
Good. Well, Chief, we appreciate and thank you for your dedication. We really do.
Yeah. And let me know if there's anything else, and I'll look into these things. I'll find out on the concrete pours and the restrooms and stuff. I'm betting they're gonna go to that road ranger, which is, that's fine, you know, that's what they wanna do, so. Porta potties are pretty cheap though, to rent them for a month is about all you would need, so, for most of those guys. Cause once you pour it, the form guys, those are all gone, now you just have your, you know, maybe a framing crew for, 3 or 4 days, but then after that, it's just a singular plumber or electrician, so they can just go to the road ranger, I guess, as needed when they do that, but at least get away from when you have the big groups, early on. So I'll look into that. And code issues, I'm still working on those. I went and did a bunch today, the last week. There was a property over on West that got cleaned up that I wanted done, and I'm still working on one on Bodart. I got the big one down on Bodart. They cleaned that one up. There's a couple others here.
You still seeing a lot of resistance?
I wouldn't say it's resistance. Like one, I asked them to mow they had on empty, the lot at 308 and the Webb.
Mm-hmm.
It was grown up on that corner. Well, it's not grown up anymore because I called him. He goes, I'll take care of it. The next weekend it was mowed.
There's a house on Webb that somebody's got cleaned up. Nobody lives in it. It hadn't been anybody in years.
Right. Yeah.
But it was growed up bad.
Yeah. So a couple of them, they've said that they're trying to get it down. They were waiting. One of them had a tractor broke down and he knew it was bad. But he was getting his tractor fixed. I'm like, no problem, whatever, just get to it. He said it would probably be as it got colder before he would get out there. And I'm like, it's fine, go ahead. So yeah, we're seeing not as much resistance. I have one on Bodart down here. They live out of state, and I've been working with them. They're it's a family that owns it, and they're one sister is almost in a panic mode because she thinks I'm gonna come after her. I'm like, no, it's not like that. Just have the other sister, it's younger, and she's handling it. I said, just have her call me, text me, reach out, whatever. I said, because I don't expect y'all to drive all the way from Georgia to mow the yard. I mean, so
Where's it at?
It's at, I think it's at 308 Boat Ark. It's the first house there. It's got a big trampoline in the backyard, you can see it. And she was like, trampoline, what's that doing? I said, well, I don't know. It looks like a trampoline. I haven't walked out there. That's what it looks like from my vantage point. I don't know.
Blame it on the wind.
Yeah, I said, it looks like it's upside down. That's what, yeah. I said,
If you're
so I
going-
don't know.
If you're going down 308, there's St. James Church over here.
Yep.
And then next right is Webb Street. There is no street sign there.
Yeah.
Carlos and I had an argument about that one day.
And I talked to Kim today. There's been some stop signs and street signs ordered, so,
Yeah,
you'll
he
probably see
was-
more of those put up.
Somebody stopped out here, was looking for Webb Street,
Yeah,
and, Carlos says, there's a sign down there on Webb Street. I said, no, there's not. I go down there every day to deliver meals. There is no sign there.
and you know, we had a fatality down off 308, probably about a month and a half ago.
Been a lot of wrecks out there on that S
On that
curve,
S curve.
a
So
lot of them.
DPS worked it, thankfully, and, they're supposed to come and have a discussion with me about that, so we'll see how that goes, but, I'm depending on them to do that. I have a guy, it's, one of my officers is, supposed to go to like an AI school, 2-week one, January, February, end of January, 1st of February, so, I've spoken with the DA about that. I don't really want us working a fatality like that on our own without DPS. She is agreeing with that, so we'll have a talk with them that until we get our guys, that they can work a fatality, I really would like y'all to handle it, if we have them. So, Ricky Barber said he would come and talk to me, so we'll see how that goes, so.
They've generally in the past
Yeah.
been good about doing that.
He was like, you know, I don't think it's gonna be a problem, we just, I'm not gonna sit on my laurels though and just say, you know, y'all work those, and I'm trying to get our guys trained, because there may be a time when they're not available.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to get my guys, where they have some accident investigation, training beyond just a basic officer training, where they can go out and do measurements, run a, you know, pattern and yaw patterns and measurements, and kinda, you know, get some, and that's another, you can get grants for that and get some equipment that you can work some of these fatalities and not be so, dependent on a state agency, where you have guys that can work that stuff. So that's what I'm trying to get in-house, where our guys are squared up.
If you can, like I said, if you can learn, just teach them how to mark them, the DPS will come out and fly them. They do
Yeah.
everything by drones now.
Yeah, and that's what we did in Arlington.
Yeah.
They would come out, we'd have a fatality, and I remember one morning it was like 9 degrees that morning. AI was not, an accident investigator was not coming out of that bed. So they told us the same thing, said, mark it. So we would take paint, I just mark, and I would draw a little diagram as what was where, and I'd mark it with different paint. They came out like a week or two later when I warmed up and said, meet us at the deal, shut the highway down, and they reconstructed an accident based off of paint pattern that I left for them. That's still there. You know, it was there for a few weeks. So they were like, yeah, no problem. They did the whole thing. No problem. So, it's neat what they can do with that stuff now. Now they can do it with drones, so they don't have to, you know, that's what it is. So, but like I said, that class comes up in January, February. He's set to go to that, so it's an expensive school. But we'll get it done, so.
Does our police department have any drones?
We do, and we need another one. So the one that we have was bought based on our best calculation around 2014, 2016. So it has an iPad, it will work, but it has very limited range. So the range is probably not more than a few hundred feet.
No.
So, which is not good. So, we're looking at, you know, that may be a grant request I wanna ask for the drone. So, cause we got a guy that's a drone operator that I've hired, one of the officers, he can fly it. In fact, we had to jailbreak into the iPad for him to use it. So, cause it was under passcode, nobody knew, so we had to figure it out, break into it. And yeah, he goes, well, it's working, but it has a limited range and all. He would lose sight of it for a second, or he goes, it starts to go down, and he goes, okay, it's not quite to today's level. He goes, so we probably need to upgrade that. So that's one of the things I'm looking at, is upgrading that for us. That would help a lot, even on just accident scenes, and if we were to have a train wreck or any of these things happen, or some big accident, that's gonna be invaluable to us where we can't get into a place where we can send a drone and get an eye view of it, so.
People run from you,
Yeah.
fields.
Yep. Yep.
Growing up.
And, yesterday Carlos asked me about, the cameras that are coming out of our cars. He goes, hey, what are y'all gonna do with those? I'm like, I don't know, probably sell them, I don't know what we can do with them. He goes, well, think about it, we'd love to put them in the fire trucks. And so, I hadn't thought about that, cause they don't have them. So, that may be good to have. So, I'm gonna talk to the mayor and council about what they wanna do with it when they come out, and maybe get them installed into the fire trucks. They would have at least, they don't need body cam, but at least, cause that'll burn up with the stuff they have, but at least a dash cam, that works great. That may be something that we can, get to them for very low cost, if nothing, if at all, so we'll see how that plays out.
Well, the cameras that they put up outside out here a few years ago, well, it's been 2016, 2017, I think. I was cooking up here for the senior center. And every month on the phone bill, it come up 3 or 4 directory assistance calls. And nobody could tell me anything. Well, I asked Carlos to look at the camera. Well, those are loop cameras, and so I can't look at it. Oh, okay, so what good does it do if it's a loop camera? And, but anyway, we come to find out, and these calls were happening at 2:30 in the morning. Nobody up here.
Right.
Come to find out, it was squirrels eating into the phone lines.
Yep.
That's what was causing it. But
And they're coming tomorrow, talking about this over here, they're coming tomorrow morning to maybe put some tint on this glass here for security purposes. We're looking at a reflective tint. It's something that Kim and Abigail have asked for, and the officers, for security purposes. At night, somebody could sit there and pick you off, or even just, and you can't see them. So they're gonna come out tomorrow to give us a quote and hopefully get it installed, maybe even tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. He said we could, I don't know if we all agree on it. So we'll leave, what we do is we're gonna have it all like that, except for on the far door that nobody uses. We only use the one on the right. So that left door, if you're looking at it, from midway up, will not have tint on it, but it will have probably some sort of a curtain, and that's where we'll do postings for council meetings and, the meals and Santa cops and parades and stuff. Because otherwise, it would put it on the tent, you're not gonna be able to see it, you won't be able to look in and see it. So we'll have to have a portion that has that ability where you can come up and look in, and be able to have a curtain so it'll at least be blocked where you can read what you need to read and see the postings and notices. And because we were gonna do it in a box that you see like at the school, a lot of these places have boxes, we don't have the space to put that and secure it without it getting blown over or broken up. So we figured that was probably the best way to do that, and to give us a secure building that way. So you'll be seeing that. So yeah, there's been an issue with the wiring even recently. We think it's a rat, so it's hard to catch them. At this time of year, it makes sense. They're starting to move in, so.
yeah, 'cause my question was, who's coming in here 2:30 in the morning and making a directory assistance calls? Trying to get a phone number. Everybody's got cell phones. So if you're trying to hide something, you use your cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been a problem over there, so it's, yeah, you'll start seeing some things like tent, things like that, so that's what the change is. And the court has a security budget, and that's coming out of their security budget that we've never even tapped into. So there's quite a bit of money in that budget for that, so to help with that.
Okay.
Anything else?
Is there any conversations about the ATVs or UTVs? Did y'all talk about that at all?
We talked about it briefly, and the mayor's asked, to me to monitor if anybody's got any comments or questions, and
Okay.
we were talking about difference between a four-wheeler and an ATV, and I said, well, I think ATVs are street legal, or can be.
So, yeah.
A four-wheeler, usually not, depending on what type it is and whatnot. Usually that's gonna be more kid-driven, a lot of times, right or wrong, I mean, that it is, and, but I think, they delayed implementing that because they wanna make sure everybody has their, and we're not sure we wanna do it yet, so we're going back and forth. And do you wanna?
I've seen it.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I've seen it online, yeah.
Yeah, so are we gonna, have a registration with a sticker every year? You have to have you can get a tag from DPS. You have to show insurance, licensed driver 16 or over, and
Yeah.
the address where it stays, so
So-
that we would know.
Yeah, that's been and we have a large group here in town that
Yep.
have ATVs, UTVs, ours are, street legal. I
Sure.
mean, you can add we don't have, some have blinkers, some have the
Yeah.
horn, whatever. But, but yeah, I think we're all in favor of, the ones we have. I've got a registration through the tax office. I mean, it's got a license plate on it that gives the registration of who owns it. Insurance, I
Yeah.
think that's a big thing to have, licensed driver, of course.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I think a big group of us are in favor if the city wanted to charge some form of fee.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they're looking
yearly
at doing a
fee,
fee,
Mhm.
just a small fee, and it will offset some of the management, because that's what me and Kim were talking, she goes, we've got these stickers, which are not real expensive, she goes, but
Sure gonna buy them.
But then we've gotta buy them, she says, and we've gotta manage that, so we'll have to, that's more work that's added into our
Sure.
day, or year, and I said, most of the people are gonna register it. If you implement this, let's say February the 1st, every year in January, going up to the first part of February, you're gonna have an influx.
Yeah.
A bit, people coming and getting it done,
Getting
you can
your
probably do
year.
it online, but I mean, you're gonna see a lot of activity on that at that time of year, every year. And yeah, as people buy them and stuff, you'll get a little more stragglers through the year, but once you implement this, it's, people say, well, it's, it's a way for the city to monitor. So it's really just, it's more of a safety thing, as we're looking at, because,
Sure.
what will happen, what I can envision happen, you probably know this, somebody lets their 9-year-old drive it, and they get hit by a car, I don't know who that 9-year-old is, and they're incapacitated, they're
Sure.
going in an ambulance, I don't know who it belongs to, I don't know who that kid is.
Right.
I don't have anybody to contact, and I've just gotta do an accident report, and I don't have an owner. So, I mean, it would eliminate all those issues for me. I just had that issue on a trailer.
Oh.
Oh, gosh. So, we just had to work one last week. That was a trailer. I mean, a thing that's supposed to be licensed and registered, and didn't have any of that. So it was a real pain for me to do that accident report, and then come to find out it was traded for a stolen trailer. So, it was a mess. And so Auto Theft Task Force was out here the next day or so, and we towed it again, and got it back to the right owner, and so it was a mess, because the guy was lying the whole time. Well, I knew he was, but we couldn't prove it. But same thing with this, when somebody gets in an accident, I can look at that plate, I can run that sticker, a number, there's options for me to find out who to call. Hey, your vehicle's up here, or somebody's going to the hospital, you wanna come up here and deal with your kid? I mean, I think you probably need to, so it's a safety thing, gives us a way to let people know, hey, there's been a problem here, or if they're committing a crime, they do something, someone says, yeah, it was this plate on it. leads us to a deal, you know, so, you know, it's not necessarily trying to monitor people, or it's certainly ain't a moneymaker. I mean, you're talking, I think they were talking $30 or something like that. If you had 100 of them, it's only $3,000.
Sure.
So I mean, by the time you spend for your equipment, the stickers and things like that, I mean, it's not like you're gonna be making money as a city on it, so.
Probably gonna be upside down for a little while anyway.
Yeah,
Time you buy your sticker.
time to buy all this stuff and figure out a filing system and how we're gonna manage that and get that, the IT people are gonna charge us to do a program, to keep it in our program. So it's not gonna, we're gonna lose money on it in the beginning, so, I foresee that, but it's a way for safety wise and for us to, as investigators, to have a tool when we get to a scene, something like that to happen. And, you know, people say, oh, what's the likelihood of it happening? It only needs to happen once. It only needs to happen once. And I can't tell you in my career how many times it's been frustrating where I've had to go to the hospital and I got a young kid who was on a bike or something else, and nobody knows who this kid is, and he's not able to tell me. And I'm waiting on somebody to call me and say their kid's missing. And it's happened many times. And I go, oh, well, what's your kid look like? Okay, well, your kid is here, and here's what happened. We've been waiting on you to call us. And so, and yeah, I was on a bike or something, but I mean, it's still the same idea, is that it was frustrating trying to, knowing somebody is missing a kid, and we're gonna have to wait until that call comes to complete that part of that process. So this would eliminate that, so. So you're okay with it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our group is good with,
Yeah.
if the city wants to implement that.
Yes, that's what some of the guys over at the, over at Todd's place over there said the same thing. They said, we were already doing it, you know, so we
Yeah.
do it, and others said they're like an Itasca or whatever, and they have it, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine with me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a, you know, you gotta keep insurance, full coverage insurance on it, just in case something happens, you know,
Yeah.
you just never know.
I had one for years, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
And we only had it out in the middle of hill country.
Right.
We were never really out on a public road much, but we still had insurance on it, which is pretty cheap. I mean,
Yeah, no, it's not bad.
Well, and they get stolen too.
Stolen.
they get stolen a lot. We have one right now we're looking at that we think is stolen. It's really difficult to recover those because of the lack of registrations on them. So you're kind of, you know, somebody said, well, I bought it from so-and-so. Same thing we ran into with that trailer, and we're finally able to figure that one out, but, that took a while. So, yeah, if you're against it, for it, I encourage you to come to the next council meeting and voice your opinion on it. That's what they're wanting, that's why we're delaying any type of implementation of this. Cause I wrote that policy, that ordinance maybe 2 months ago, so we've been waiting on it. So we've been very patient, trying to get people all the time in the world to voice their objection to it if they want. So we don't wanna just look like we're just, you know, jamming this through as fast as we can. We're trying to be patient, give people opportunity. Anything else?
Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.